diet that we can keep all the time. And that laziness of not being willing to change our cycles according to nature also gets us like in the cave, doesn't get us out of the cave. So we're opening now for questions and technicals of the machines or the devices I use for keeping healthy. And yes, any comments?
What's the difference between the devices and who made them? How many years?
The devices I have, the machines I have, one is biofeedback, that the main probing mechanism was made by the Germans.
I use biofeedback.
Yeah.
The machine, like
there are many.
hold.
The main, yes, that you hold the electromagnetic node.
I'm investigating in 24 years this machine.
Nice.
If it's this one, there's many and one is the best.
That's good. For all the ones I have tried, the system of electromagnetic is basic, like we tap into the electromagnetic field and circuit that we are. What makes the difference is what questions are asked to the system and how they're shown in the template. That's what makes the difference.
So it's the one that you hold the two
You hold
metals?
one in this one, and it has both nodes in the same thing.
And what? It's like a machine that you put on the computer.
Yes.
And it's also showed acupuncture points, meridians.
Yes.
And it's a German guy that.
The German did the probing system. Then the Russians made the template to with the frequencies of each, even to the emotions, the frequencies of the emotions,
Yeah,
the heavy
so-
metals.
Yeah, I do checking once a year with the machine.
Nice. So that's one, and then the other is a NLS, non-linear systems, that there's a headset that scans you the different parts of the body, and it's like a biopsy with resonance. So you see, okay, that is a machine that tells you what is where. For example, many of the studies that I have seen in women, that they have, I do the Papa Nicolau or these tests from the walls of the vagina, and they don't see much things. But in some things went down to the egg, and with the machine you can see that there's in the egg, and you don't have to be waiting until it's late that is a colony and comes out, because that's what usually happens. They don't understand why they are like hormones out. They are checking just on the out, and that's what I have seen commonly. Then gallbladder stones, a lot. You don't have to be waiting until it's like, oh, it's hurting here, oh yeah, it's inflamed with bacteria and the stones are already in the duct, so let's chop it off. That's already late. That's what happens. They chop it off because it's like, we don't know how to resolve it. And people have not had a liver cleanse. So we know if the liver cleanse worked after checking, when people come here to do liver cleanse and gallbladder cleanse, we check at the beginning and at the end if the stones are out.
So you check that when people have the Epsom salt and the oil, after that it really works?
Yes.
Yeah, it works good. I did the liver cleanse and I'm never sure it's really good for
Yeah, I
my
checked
body.
before and after, and what also made the difference is the diet before,
Yeah.
that we soften the tissues of the intestine so the stones do not get stuck in the intestine.
How often should you do a liver cleanse?
Depending on what you eat. For example, I went to Argentina and I ate milanesas. We were traveling all Argentina, okay, I ate milanesas. And I know it's fried with seed oils, so I felt the density. So I said, okay, the liver can handle it for a while, but as soon as I finish this trip, I will do liver cleanse.
They tend to do it until you don't have started.
I did it only once last year, and I got only little stones, like this big. I never knew if I didn't do it right and I should, I don't know, do it more often, or it's just
You can check.
2-3 times a year is
Yes, 2-3 times a year. That's what they recommend.
until there is not.
The thing is that when you change your diet, what happens with when you clear the liver and the gallbladder stones, you have much more energy because the liver is not fatty anymore. It can produce much more energy, and the bile acids from the gallbladder are helping you digest better. The B6, B3, and a lot of things that are easy for you to digest. So you will have much more energy because all of that synergy works better, and your other part of the digestive system don't have to overwork. That's why you have triple energy. Like when I did the liver cleanse, I started having triple energy.
Which one you recommend, from Dr. Hulda Clark or?
I use the Moritz and Frank Suarez. It's a mix of Moritz and Frank Suarez. You can use the malic acid, but I prefer or apples. But it's hard to get good apples at that amount.
Also, Anthony Williams recommends something.
Yeah, I heard of Anthony Williams. Yeah.
Also, a guy from Costa Rica told me Chanca Pietra. You know this plant?
That's for the piedra from the riñones, from the kidneys.
So, solve them without having the flush, because Andreas Moritz, who did the liver cleanse, didn't live very long. He died very early, and a friend of mine saw him and he said that maybe to do it so often, he did it very often.
Yeah, no,
it's
too.
not very good.
It's not good to do so often.
So he
yeah,
recommended
Moritz.
to like use the plants from Costa
Yes,
Rica
yes.
to dissolve it, and then you don't have so much stress, because this from Moritz makes a lot of stress. also.
Yes, yes, it's more like intervention.
Yeah.
It's more
The name
intervention.
of the plant?
Chanca
Chanca
Pietra.
Piedra.
You find it in Costa Rica.
Chanca piedra.
You find it in Costa Rica.
And
everywhere.
it just dissolves the
Yeah,
stone if there is
yeah.
any.
There are some properties, also rabanito, radish,
Okay.
from the kidneys. There are some things, but you have to learn to do them, and the components, take it out. The other thing that we see is like, okay, sometimes I take what I have to take for that, but you don't reduce the cost of that. And sometimes it's the protein powder that you think is super nice. Sometimes you have the blind spot of the coffee. Sometimes you have the blind spot of the mate. In Argentina, and everybody has the mate bias.
Yeah.
It's mate for my metabolism is great, but it has to be organic. Otherwise, you're
No,
just
it's
taking.
It's make your body acidic too much. Every day, it makes the body very acidic.
Depending on which mate, if it's organic and if you mix it with other things. But today I made the test of, I take mate, half-liter mate every day, and I have excess of alkalinity. So it's
So if I have a cup of coffee every other day, I'm not killing myself?
it's like
Depends
the
how is
the body,
Organic coffee.
like we're
Sometimes
like
I feel like I
looking.
get too obsessive about being healthy, and I don't know
Yes,
if that's healthy.
that's not the idea of like what I should or what I shouldn't. That's why the holistic, when you see the holistic working of the body with all the systems and how they are interconnected, you see how resilient is the body to reaccommodate itself. There's people that never had a liver cleanse, they keep drinking at all, they have a super fatty liver, and the body adapts. The quality of life reduces. It's not sometimes the length, sometimes it's the levels of energy, the availability we have. There's people that had parasites all their life, and they were slaves to their impulses. But then you realize, okay, now I don't have any more parasites. I can choose not to take that, and that's freedom. It's a level of freedom that they never felt before. So that's the change I was talking about at the beginning of. There's new possibilities because you are different. So that has been, for example, the prostate of the men, but when people don't see it. But the men started feeling weaker, more inhibited, more shy, more retracted, less sexual desire when they have parasite in the prostate, the bacteria. There's a bacteria in the prostate itching them, and they do not know it. And it affects their character, their hormones, and I see a testosterone low. Then we check with the big machine. Hey, your prostate is out of place because it's inflamed because of the bacteria. And even that they take the antibacterial, because the wife of my teacher is a pharmacist, so they were like also experimenting. Okay, why, for example, chlamydia or all these things go and these other bacteria no? Because the blood flow into the prostate was not getting there with the medicine, for example. So it's a whole art. That's why the healing art, I am fascinated.
Can you share the formula
Of what?
of the liver cleanse that you with your
Yes, I don't like to prescribe anything, because if I prescribe something and the person has, for example, intestines with something, and I prescribe the Epsom salts, or they are like, I had clients that were very sensitive to Epsom salts with a strong reaction, I cannot prescribe that because I would be generating a karma. So it's not something that works for all. That's why I like
but
personalized.
from your experience, what formula usually work?
Depending on the person, like I use the Moritz with Epsom salts, with the healthy livers, or certain kinds of intermittent fasting with certain kinds of plants for starting to soften it up. Then I do some exercise. That's when people do immersion. They cannot avoid doing exercise because they squeeze out the toxins of the lymphs inside the body.
I wanted to, sorry.
Yes.
Finish and then I ask because it's very personal.
Yeah, so there are these holistic things that support that first it's done properly according to the person, and that it stays. Because if the person then clears out the stones that suppose not all came, or the Epsom salts brought out the toxins from the intestines, but they never squeeze them out or do not take enough water, they will get stuck somewhere, those toxins. Or they have leaky gut,
No, I
they go
always do
direct
it,
to the blood.
I always do it in juice cleanse. I always do it in the middle of my juice cleanse.
Well, another thing that I have seen with the juice cleanse, I see the pancreas of the people. Because like this thing of like the method of, if I do just juice and it has sweet and the pancreas is taking all that sweet fast, we are hurting the other organ for trying to clear one. So that's the same with the vegan people. Like when I was vegan, I convinced myself like Oreos were vegan, you know, super poisonous, but they're vegan. So that's why I check all the organs properly to address things in a sequence. Also, if we try to clear the liver and you have parasites in between, it's very hard that the intestines are not hurt, that they don't get stuck with all the parasites according to the size of the parasites. So there are like these considerations I like to have, and that's why I invite people to come here to check themselves before and after, because it's really when it works. Like when I know it works, and it's not just a feeling, because even candida, you can feel better from healing the candida. That's very hard. It comes down, but then you just eat something and boom, comes back stronger. Or parasites as well. When we do parasite cleanse and you left some eggs, you may be feeling well for a while until the offspring of the parasites come out and they start biting again. So that's why I like to make sure properly the
Okay,
checks.
let's check.
You want to check, you know? That's brave. For all the ones who came today and are brave enough to check, I will do the discount for showing up today, and I'm willing to check.
Why is it possible